So hey everyone, in this video we are going to implement the feature where the user can edit their property. Okay, so when you click on this edit button, it should navigate us to the edit page, which will be almost similar to the add form. Okay, over here. So if I click on this list property, so this is going to open us the property to add, right? So this page will be similar to that, but only thing is all these fields will be auto filled, okay, with the previous values. So then the user can edit whatever he or she wants and then click on submit to or save to edit the property. All right, so this is going to be similar to this page. So we are just going to copy and paste some of the code from this page, and then we are going to edit that. Okay, and also we are going to create a server action. Whenever the user like edits the property, we will be sending all of this information, and then make a update query to a database to save the property. All right, so let us get started by creating the edit page. So we are going to create the edit page at the id level. Okay, so we are going to nest another folder inside this. So it is going to be properties slash then the wildcard, the property id, and then the edit. Okay, so let us create a folder over there called edit, and inside that let's create a page.tsx. Alright, so now I'm just going to sketch a component, and I'm just going to call this edit property. Alright, and let's for now render this text of edit property and save this. So in the last video we had created the icons, right, where when we click on that icon it should go to the edit page. So it is on the save property level, and if you scroll down a little bit, so we just want to attach an on click handler over here such that when we click on this it should navigate to us to the edit page. Okay, so let us go ahead and quickly do that. So let's put an on click, and this should call a function, and this should navigate us to the properties page. Okay, so we just need the router, so we can get that from the use router hook. So router, okay, so this should come from next/navigation. All right, so now we can do router.push to the properties slash then the id. Okay, so this should be a dynamic string, so that we can interpolate the value of the id, so that is coming from the property.id, and then the edit. All right, so now if I save this, so now within the profile page, when I click on this edit property, it should take us to the edit page. All right, so there we go. So this goes to properties, then the id of the property, and then edit. Okay, so now if I go to this edit page, so it should go to property slash then the id. So this time it is 41 slash edit. Okay, so that's working fine. So as I told, this page is going to be similar to the add page, so I can just replace all of this contents from the content that we have from the add page. Okay, so if you haven't watched the implementation of how to add a property, you can just go to the video and watch it. Okay, so I can just replace this with that, and now I can just call this as edit property. All right, and along with this we are also going to get the params, right? So that is the property id, so whatever is passed in from the url. Okay, so I can just destructure params from here and then assign the type of this. So we are getting an object where with the property params, and set the type of that to be a string. Okay, so using this params we can now fetch the property details of this particular property, and then use that same values in the form. Okay, so that the user can only edit those values within the form. So if I go to the JSX now, I can just remove this subtitle which doesn't make sense anymore. So I can now call this as edit property. Okay, and now I just need to pre-fill all of the values within this form. Okay, so we have various fields, so I just want to add those values whenever we click on edit property. So all the field values should be auto filled based on the property details that we receive. Okay, so if I refresh, I get edit property. Okay, so now let us go ahead and fill all of these values. So first we need to make a database query to fetch all the property details of this particular property with the id that is passed in. So let us now create a state to hold the property details, okay, within our state. So whenever we make a call, it should add to the state. So const property details and set property details. Okay, and initially this is going to be an empty object, not an array, because arrays will hold multiple properties, but this is just one property, so we just want to use that store initially within the empty object. So use state, and initially it will be an empty object. Okay, and the type of this is going to be property with images and owner. Okay, it's right here. So this is the type that we extended from the Prisma. Okay, so like this, and initially it says an empty object, but later we are just going to add on within this values. So now let us fetch all the property details based on the params that we receive. Okay, so within the actions file, in one of those videos we had created a server action to get the property by id. Okay, so it is right here, and this will receive the images as well as the owner. Okay, owner tables along with the current property that we are receiving. So we can just reuse this particular server action by creating a use effect to make a call. Okay, and this is going to take in a function, and for the dependency it is just going to be an empty array, which means that initially only when it renders this page do we call this use effect function to make a query to our database. So let us go to the body, and since we need to make an async function, so we cannot mark this directly an async function, so we can just create another function and mark that function as asynchronous. So let us call this fetch property details, and this is we are just going to call that. Okay, so we can create that function const fetch property details, and this is going to be an async function. So let's open our try catch. Alright, so within the try we are just going to grab the data, or we can just call this property, and set this equal to await get property by id. Okay, so that we are importing from the actions file, and now we just need to pass in a few arguments. So that is the property id, right? So that we are getting from the params. So we can say params.id. Okay, and this id is probably of type string, so we need to convert that to a number. Okay, and sorry, inside params we have another property called id, and that id is going to be of string. Okay, sorry, I just forgot that step. And yeah, so now let's check if we get the response. Okay, so if property, then we just want to set the state that we created for the property details. So set property details to this property. All right, and if there is any error, we can just show in a generic message saying something went wrong. Okay, and then pass in the error. Okay, and this is to get the fetch the property details. So also let us console log if we are actually getting the property. Okay, so we are getting a TypeScript error here saying that this cannot be an empty object of this type. So what we can just do is we can just do the typecasting and just assign the same type to that. Okay, so with that done, now if we go back and open our console, and we should be able to see our property. So if I refresh, and there we get our response. Okay, so this is for the property id 41, and you see that the id of that also should be 41. Okay, right here. So we are getting all the details. So all we now need to do is just autofill all of this form fields with our actual values. So to do that, first of all we need to create an instance of this and design form that we are using. Okay, so by creating this instance we can access various properties with this form. Okay, we can do various actions like set initial values, or we can just clear the form, all of those things. Okay, so you can also read the documentation on the and design form. So for now I can just set this form equal to a variable called form, which we need to create yet. So all we just need to do is we can just go right at the top, and we can just destructure the form element. Okay, the form itself, which will be the first element within the array, and call the form, the and design form dot use form. Okay, so this is like a hook which we need to call, and that's all we need to do to create an instance of the form. Okay, so now we can just you see, we can just do form dot, we have all the other fields, okay, which we can perform on these forms. Okay, so like we are now interested in this particular value, that is set initial values. Okay, so where is that? So it's here, set field value. Okay, so sorry, set fields value, which will be means many values. So all we just need to now do is create another use effect, and then we just need to, whenever the property details change, we need to make a call to this. So let's create a use effect, and of course this is going to take in a function, and whenever the property details change, we want to make a call to this use effect again. Okay, so okay, so inside this we are now going to check if we are having anything within the property details. Okay, so it should just not be an empty object, but it should have some values, right? So let us say property details. If that exists, then we just want to use a form instance, and this has a property, as I told, that is set fields value, and here we just want to pass in the property details. Okay, and if I now save this and go back and give it a refresh, so okay, so date dot is valid is not a function. So actually there is a different format that is used for design date fields. Okay, so we just need to import something called Next.js, okay, from design. So we just need to put in a separate value for that. Okay, and then convert that to a date format which design uses. Okay, not with the format that we use. So for that we can just import Next.js. So let us import like this. Okay, so you don't need to install a separate package for this. Once you install design, so this package will automatically be included in that. So what we can now do is you can just go right at the function that we are setting the fields value. Okay, so whatever we have within the property details, we can just spread across by using the spread operator, and we just want to override the available from. Okay, so that is available from, so that is the field that we defined, right? To, so that is a date field. When is the property available? So available from, and then we just want to call the Next.js function, and then pass in the property details dot available from. All right, so this will convert the format to design date format, and now if I save this and try to go back, this should work, I guess. Yeah, there we go. So our form is now auto filled with all the values that we are fetching for this property. Okay, so it would also be a good idea if we show a spinner while fetching the properties, instead of just showing a blank page where the user has no idea what is going on. So we will also be making another video for the performance optimization for our website, so where we will add in some other features like the back button, the loaders and spinners, and also any other feature that we missed out. Okay, so also now we need to handle the image upload. Okay, so whatever the image is associated to this property must also be shown over here. Okay, at the moment our file list array, which is our state that we created, is actually empty, so we want to pre-fill all those values with the actual images of this particular property that the user has already uploaded previously while creating the property. So we have a state here to hold all the images in the form of a file list. Okay, and this is annotated by the design form upload file. So all we just need to now do is loop across all the images that we have, and then store this in the file list. Okay, so we can just go to the fetch property details function that we created. So here, along with the property, if the property exists, we also need to set the file list to the existing images. Okay, so let's call this existing images and set this equal to the property dot data, images dot map. So for each image we are just going to set the attributes like the name, status, and the URL. So we are first going to get in the image as well as the index. Okay, inside here we want to return an object, right? So we can just use the implicit return like this, and we can just specify few things like the name. Okay, so we can just give this a unique name that that is the image, and then pass in the particular index. Okay, and then .jpg. Okay, so that is one of the supported formats. So I can just use a backtick and say image, and then pass in the id of that, sorry, the index .jpg. Okay, so I'll just add one since this starts from 0. Alright, so we have got the name. So this will always be unique since the every image that we loop across will have a unique index, and then we set the status to done. Okay, so by the way, all of this, if you just console log the images, right, if we try to upload that, so this is what these properties that it expects while uploading an image. Okay, so we can just set this to done, and then we have the URL itself, so that is coming directly from the image.url. So all right, and also we need to give this a UID. Okay, so the unique ID for this for every image. Okay, so that is if we only provide this, that will be the unique differentiating factor from other images. So we can just pass in the index itself. Okay, so now we have created our images array. So all we just need to now do is push to the set file list. Okay, so the file list, so let us do set file list and then pass in our existing images. All right, so we need to give the type of this to the upload file. So we can just use the upload file over here, which is going to be an array of that, and still it gives me an error. Let's try optional chaining here. So maybe this could be null as well. So we only needed to add a dash over here for the UID. Okay, so dash plus index. Okay, so that will be the UID for that. So with that, this is working good. So I just went to my database and just quickly added 2 images for this property. You see that it adds to the file list. Okay, so this is the file list where the URL has been displayed over here, and also we can just view this. Okay, so basically we just need to, this is giving me a larger resolution image. Okay, and also we can delete this. So let's now go ahead and create a server action to edit the property. Okay, and whenever we submit the form, we call that server action, which will update those values within the database. Okay, so for the existing property. So let us go to our actions file, and we can just for now copy the post property server action, which is almost going to be similar to edit. Okay, so we're just going to add in few more things. So I can just copy this and then paste it over here and call this edit property. All right, and this is going to receive the data, images, and the property ID this time. Okay, and since we already done the validation for the user, so the user will not be able to even access the page, and also the button itself will not be shown to the user who's trying to edit the property. Okay, so we can just only receive the property ID, and this is going to be of type number. Okay, so now we just need to tackle this problem of images. Okay, so we had 2 different types of images. One is for the images that were already existing, and those images that were uploaded after that. Okay, so we can just need to merge all of that. So we need to get the existing property images and then add the images that we are receiving. Okay, so we can just create a first we need to get the existing property, right? So let us do that. So maybe we can go right at the top. So I'm going to call this existing images, or the existing property, which will actually hold the images, right? And set this to await db.property.find unique. Okay, so we are going to provide the where based on the property ID. So where the ID is going to be the property ID, and then we include the images as well. Okay, so this is a table called images, and we just set that to true. Okay, since properties are linked with images, so we also want the images for the property. And now we just do a check here if the existing images exist. So existing property, sorry, and then we throw an error. Okay, so throw new error saying property not found. Alright, so once that's done, we can now if we have the existing images, so we just need to collect that within a variable, let's say existing existing image URLs, and set this to the existing property dot images. Okay, so which we have already included over here, dot map, and then for every image we are just going to get only the URL. Okay, so the URL is actually sufficient, and now we just need to grab the new image URLs. Okay, so we can, that is coming from arguments of this function. So let's set new image URLs and set that to images. Okay, so now we just need to filter those images that are already there within this image URLs. Okay, so we do not want to add in the same image URL again. Okay, so we just want to filter out those images that were previously existing. So we say images dot filter, and now for every image we check that if the existing image URLs is not containing in that. Okay, so we say that includes, and then pass an image, this image. Okay, so basically what it's doing is it's checking within the existing image URLs, which is an array. So if it includes that image and we put a not operator, so we just drop that, okay, within our filter. So now having these two, we can now go ahead and upload this to Cloudinary. Okay, so these new image URLs. So right below this uploaded images, we can just create another variable called final image URLs and set that equal to the, basically the merging both existing image URLs and new image URLs. Alright, so we use the spread operator so to merge into one array. So now we just need to instead of making a create query to our database, we just need to update. Okay, so inside this update we provide where, so for which property we want to update, so and set that to the ID which is coming from the property ID as arguments to this function. And here we don't need the owner ID since we are making query based on the property ID. And here for the images, so we want to first delete whatever they were there within our previous images, and then we add this new images. Okay, so I know this is not the right way because we are just clearing the previous images and adding new images. So it's just 8 images. Okay, so it doesn't take a lot of time and doesn't impact the performance. So we can just use the delete many operator like this. So this will delete all the images and then it will go ahead and create the new images. Okay, so this is going to now be the final image URLs. Okay, so this particular thing here, sorry, this should be uploaded images, and let's replace that. And since we are already resolving all the promises for the new image URLs, so this needs to be new image URLs. Okay, so last time we were just taking images directly from arguments since we did not have any images previously. So now we had images after that, so we need to upload those images to Cloudinary. Okay, so we are doing that, so there needs to be a colon here. Alright, so that's done, and instead of saying create properties, we can just say updating property or error editing property. Alright, so does that look good? Yep. Okay, so if there is any problem, we can just come back to this and edit. So now let us go ahead and export this function for edit property. Okay, so going back to the page.tsx, and now we can just make a server action once we submit the form. Okay, so we already have a on finish here, so only thing now we need to do is the previous file list that we had, so we just need to resolve those promises for the new images that were added. Okay, so for the previous images we have already set over here within this existing images, so which is no longer a promise, which is already been resolved. So we also need to resolve that promise which are uploaded. Okay, so now we can just go to this base, is that over here. And by the way, all of this code you will find within the documentation of Andesign. So I have already made a video on how we can add a property, so it is almost similar to this. So basically I just referred to the documentation and did this. Okay, so we can just now go and check if the file .url already exists, which means that it has already it has not yet resolved the promise. So we can check that, then we return the promise by resolving it. Okay, so promise dot resolve, and then pass in the file URL. Okay, and after that, if the promise has already been resolved, then we just push this at the top. Okay, like this. And yeah, so once that's done, instead of post property, we can now call the edit property server action, and we just need to now pass in the values, then the property ID. It's okay, so we get that from property.id, so that is property details.id, and then the base 64 images. Okay, so let us also update these images. So from created to edited, property edited successfully, and if there's any error, we can say error editing property. Alright, so with that done, we can now go ahead and test this. So if I click on upload, I should be able to upload an image. Okay, so I'll just put a dummy thumbnail for this YouTube channel and click on submit. Let me just open my console first. So if I click on submit, something went wrong. So what is the error? Okay, so this image is exceeding more than 1 MB, so I can just replace this with some other image. So I just put a lighter image. So if I now click on submit, okay, there was no error. For a moment I thought they gave me an error. So now our property is updated, because it takes some time to upload the images to Cloudinary, and by resolving all those promises. So if I now refresh this and try to check the image if we are successfully uploaded, yeah, there we go. So yeah, our image upload is working good. So now if I just update few values from here, so that is the name. Let me just change this to test2 and just the description, and let's click on submit. Okay, so now the property has been edited, and if I refresh, there we go. Okay, so our name and description has been edited to that. Okay, and of course all of this would also work. Okay, so there's no point in testing. So you can also, if you want, you can test this out as well. So there is one last step that is pending, that is to prevent this page from any other user to access. Okay, so only the logged in user and only the user that has been created this property should be able to access this page and should be able to edit the property. Okay, so for that we can just go back to our middleware.ts, and we can just add in the route of /properties. So we cannot do something like this, like /properties/ then the id /edit, since this is a dynamic route. So we cannot check if it is there within this. So the good idea to tackle this is to using regex, okay, or regular expressions, to just check the value irrespective of what is being passed here. So we can just get rid of this, and we can just create a constant here. So this is the regular expression. If you find it a little bit confusing, so I'll just explain. So this is the name /properties, and then this is the id. So this is the wildcard, which any numeric value can be passed in, and then /edit. Okay, so with this cap represents match from the beginning of the line, and $sign represents match from the till the end of the line. Okay, so basically the whole line we need to match, and over here we can just put an or operator, and we can just put in this variable name. So edit property route regex, and we can use a test on this, and then pass in our the path name. Okay, So once this is done, we can now just test this out if we are able to access the edit property route. So I am able to access this page just because I am logged in, but this doesn't confirm that this I am only editing my property and not someone else's property. Okay, so technically I would change this ID to some other property's ID and edit that. So I should not be able to do that. So what we can just do is we can do a check right before the return statement where we return our JSX. We can just check if the owner ID of this property is the currently logged in user. Okay, so we can just do that if session.user.id, if we can just convert that first to a number since we have already got used to it, and if that is equal to the property details dot owner id. Okay, and then we just return. Okay, we can just probably return some JSX saying that you are not allowed to access this page. So we can just give this a class name of container, and within this we can just give an alert component within design, okay, which would seem suitable for this, and we can just give the title or something like that. So that is the message prop, and we can just say this you are not allowed to edit this property. Alright, and we can just give it a danger variant. Sorry, the type should be danger or error. Okay, so it says this could either be defined or undefined, so we can first check if session exists and then do this. Sorry, this has to be a not operator, and we are checking if the user ID, logged in user ID, is not equal to the property owners, then we return this alert. Okay, so now if I just go back and refresh, we should be able to see this edit property. But if I just go to some other property, okay, so let's say property number 30, and if I click on enter, so I should not be able to edit this property. Instead it should show us an alert message. All right, so let's see. So we see that you are not allowed to edit this property. Okay, so we are not now able to edit some other else's property, but only the property of that we own. Okay, so even though the user manually goes and sets this URL parameter to some other property ID. Okay, so we have also counted that case. So yeah, so this is all about for this video. So I hope you liked it. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.